Quinnipiac poll on a variety of issues in regards to healthcare, and it has some powerful results. So here, let's run through some of it. What percentage of Americans agree with President Trump's handling of healthcare? Just 29%. That's abysmally low. Okay, but it gets even crazier. How many Americans want a full repeal of Obamacare? Just 9% want a full repeal. So the position that is the go-to position in the so-called Freedom Caucus, which is the Tea Partiers, which is the far-right caucus in the House, only 9% of Americans approve of that. Okay, how about Trumpcare's approval rating? 16%. It lost a percentage point, the House version to the Senate version. Now only 16% approve it, before it was 17%. This is a comically sad bill. More. How many Americans think Trumpcare would decrease health insurance costs? So one of the main things that's like, okay, we're doing a reform for our system, like one of the positive results that you'd want that goes hand in hand with that is a decrease in insurance costs. That's like one of the big ones. What percentage of Americans think that'll actually happen? 10%. Okay, this piece of legislation is universally despised. Universally! Okay, more. How many Americans support cutting Planned Parenthood? Federal funding for Planned Parenthood. Just 35%. You would think with all the Republican yelps about that would be like 50%, like half the country. All the Republicans would say, yeah, we gotta get rid. Nope, 35%. What percentage of Americans support cutting Medicaid? 24%. And the best part, the most important part, what percentage of Americans support Medicare for all? 60%. At this point, it's every poll. It's every poll. When you ask the American people about Medicare for all, it's 60% or more. I've seen 60% and I've seen 61% in recent times. Everything the Democrats need to know about healthcare policy is laid out in this Quinnipiac poll. Every single thing. So, first of all, you should be absolutely ruthless and flat out vicious in your attacks on Republicans over Trumpcare. Because it's already the case that nobody likes Trumpcare. Everybody despises it. So get your factual talking points down. So it's about $800 billion in Medicaid cuts. It's a giant tax cut to the rich, where I think everybody in the top 1% or 2% gets an extra $200,000 a year. Wow. You have premiums that go up for a 64-year-old with middle income. Their premiums go from like $6,000 to $28,000. So get all your ducks in a row, get all your factual talking points down about how shitty this bill is. You now have a waiver for protections for pre-existing conditions if the states want it, and the Republican states are going to want it. So think about that. That's wild, man. Like, oh, if you're in Kentucky, you don't have protection for pre-existing conditions. Right, because they don't need it in Kentucky. They need it everywhere. Everybody needs it. So hammer away on that. Hammer away on the fact that the health insurance companies no longer have to spend 80% of their money on actual health care. That's part of Obamacare. Well, now that's basically been reversed. Again, that's another one where they've given a waiver for Republican states if they want to opt out of that, and they're going to opt out of that. So get all your talking points down, start swinging a hammer at Trumpcare on a daily basis, but then the other half of the picture, which so many Democrats leave out because they're not in favor of it, is you have to swing for the fences with Medicare for all. Because 60% of the American people agree with Medicare for all. And that's with only like Bernie Sanders and sometimes Elizabeth Warren making the case for it. So imagine if every Democrat in the country was making the case for Medicare for all. Because it's not enough, here's the thing, it's not enough to just say, hey, they're really shitty, or say, hey, they're really shitty and let's defend the status quo, which is Obamacare, which is this originally conservative idea, this middle path that keeps the private health insurance companies in control and is only about 25% of what we have to do when it comes to healthcare. So it's not enough to say defend the status quo, defend business as usual, attack Republicans. You have to, if they're proposing something, they're proposing Trumpcare, you need to say, okay, that is your proposal, ours is, you can't just say defeat Trumpcare and leave it as is with Obamacare. You have to fight for something, not just against something. And the thing you have to fight for is Medicare for all. And that would be, the Democrats would cakewalk into not only the White House, but they would win across the board in terms of the Senate, the House of Representatives. But you have to actually fight for those things. You have to actually fight for them. And, you know, if you disagree, just understand you're not disagreeing with me, you're disagreeing with the people, because the numbers spell it out. And again, 60% approval rating for Medicare for all, that's with only like Bernie Sanders making the case on a regular basis. So, let's go, guys. But unfortunately, the reality is many Democrats can't push for it because many Democrats are corporate Democrats and they take money from Big Pharma, they take money from health insurance companies, so they do their bidding. Which is why, needless to say, we need a wave of justice Democrats.